Here with the police commissioner, the deputy chiefs. I know that the Councilman Anthony Moranti is here. Councilman John Rubo is with us. We have County Legislator Jimmy Nolan who's with me. And we're all here today to join the Yonkers Police Department, Chris Sapienza, like I said, and our PD's brass, as well as some of Yonkers' top retailers. Representatives from the Urban Edge Properties, the owners of Gateway Center, Nadine Shore, manager of Walgreens on Nepehan Avenue. This is an important time for us to be here having this discussion. We gather that many of you have been seen or heard, whether it be the reporting on social media, that shoplifting is on the rise in New York State. Actually, it's on the rise nationwide.
And now they're speaking about it. Now the mayor is actually speaking about it, although this is not new. It's been happening for a while now. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. How you doing? Happy Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Let's go over this. There goes John Rubo in the back. Check him out. They love doing these appearances, right? They love to come to, especially when it's the police, right? They want to be seen like they're supporting crime. They're tough on crime. And John Rubo should be there. I mean, not a few days ago, there was a smash and grab in his district on McLean, the 7-Eleven. I don't know if that's a smash and grab. Did they smash anything? I think they just walked in. Well, they smashed the register. I guess they walked in, smashed the register on the floor, and walked out with whatever money that was in there. Again, that was in John Rubo's district, District 4. So it's good to see him there. James Nolan is there also. James Nolan has been an elected official that has been very supportive of police, very supportive of any initiative that is tough on crime. Many of you may remember that he was big on the racing, right, and the loud mufflers and what that caused to the community, what dangers that cause, right, in terms of quality of life and even deaths, right, in accidents and stuff. So he was tough on crime. Who else he said was there? Christopher Sapienza, of course, the police commissioner, who also spoke, and he talks about what they have implemented and what strategies, again, they've implemented to try and stop this, trying, reduce the amount of in-store theft that have been taking place. And I'm wondering, are they now speaking about it because it's happening over on Central Avenue? Recently, the Burlington Coat Factory had some robberies. People just ran in there, ran out of there with all the stuff, right? And we've been seeing this all over, right? You see this on the internet a lot now. It's happening, everywhere, and people are recording it. And so now they're doing this press conference on Central Avenue at the Marshalls. Is that on Central Avenue? I believe, yeah, Central Avenue, the Marshalls there. And so he's asked, why now? It's been happening, in Getty Square. Why didn't you go out there and do a press conference? In fact, and I'll talk about this in a few, I was witness to a robbery in progress. Individuals went into a store, robbed some of the items, and ran out, and they were being chased by the owners of the business. And by the time police got there, they were gone, the individuals with the merchandise, and nothing became of it. The business owners there just had to eat that loss. And so that's not okay. But now, it's happening on Central. So we have to speak about it. But why are we speaking about it now also? It's because it's an election year. No doubt about it. It's an election year. And the mayor wants to make sure that he covers all his bases, that he's showing everyone in the city that he's getting things done. Now he's more visible, more active, actually doing some of the things that people have been asking for a while. but it's election year. So we have to get these things done so I can show everyone that I'm doing things, right? And it's just like with the developments, you know, all the changes or whatever progress he says that he has made has really come very recently, if you want to count that as progress, if you want to count overdevelopment progress, that has come in recent years. So it's not something that he's been working on in the past 12 years that he's been in office, and now he wants another 4 years. He says he wants to continue the progress that he's made, the progress that he has made. But this progress, and I don't know if you guys remember from yesterday, the projects that are going up specifically with AMS is going to be a 10-year project. He's only going to be in there 4 years if he wins again. So will he then say after 4 years, well, I have to continue the progress that we're making, so I need a 5th term? In fact, you know what? Let's eliminate term limits altogether and just let the people decide when it's time for me to go. But as I pointed out yesterday, we know that that can be difficult. Removing the current administration from office can be difficult, and not because everyone loves the current administration and they're going to get all the votes, but because they manipulate elections. And I'm learning exactly how they do that using the food drives. And if you didn't watch that podcast from yesterday, I would recommend that you go back and watch it. I call it the Food Distribution Voter Block. And they're using those individuals who go there to line up to get food because of food insecurities that they're suffering, and they get utilized for elections. Give us your information. Oh, you're not registered? Well, here, quickly register while you wait to get your powdered drinks and your, past the sale date items, right? So anyway, Mayor Spano, along with someone representing the retail, the woman there, I believe she represented retails, and Chris Sapienza, a few elected officials were in front of marshals there today, to talk about the increase in thefts that have been happening to box stores primarily, but they've been happening to a lot of businesses. Small businesses in Getty Square have been dealing with it a lot. Do you guys remember the incident in the grocery store there in Getty Square, where it was put on video that shows the employees, tackling and fighting with the guys, and then Ruros, from the Yonkers Voice kind of created this big stink about it. He was saying that, these store owners and employees are beating up these people who are just hungry, when in fact they weren't just hungry, they were stealing shrimp. I'm not sure how they were going to feed themselves with uncooked shrimp, but what actually was happening is that they were stealing it to sell to another business that would cook it and then sell it. Right. So that's what they were doing. But anyway, there was the whole incident with that. People were upset. They were protesting because they would say, poor guys, they're stealing because they're hungry. But yes, people are desperate these days. And part of it is the economy. But a lot of it also has to do with bail reform and the fact that individuals know that they will not face severe consequences. They will be released right away for these particular crimes. So that's why you see an increase in these type of crimes. And so people have become desperate. The economy, their finances are low. So you may see people that are genuinely stealing because they're hungry, but you're going to see a lot of people also stealing because they're taking advantage of the fact that there are these lax laws now that are just releasing them. And the mayor mentions them. He talks about that. And he also talks about the governor in Albany. And I'll play that and we'll discuss there. But anyway, so let me just play this video and then we'll get into it a little bit here. And also, I want to talk about who the mayor hired as his strategist, right? Who's the mayor's strategist? I want to talk a little bit about that, which I think is interesting, who he hired as his strategist, the mayor, and also a dream that I had, or was it a vision? I'm like Nostradamus here, or what's that guy, that Casey? Forget his name. Something Casey.
And our city is not immune from it. Criminals are so brazen about it that they are seen carting out duffel bags worth of items from not just our corner store, from our big box stores, doing it openly, doing it aggressively, and many of the shopping centers right here along Central Avenue. In Yonkers, our police department prides itself in curbing crime and using precision policing to decrease crime Especially over the last 10 years, we've seen a nearly 50% decrease in crime in the streets of Yonkers. But we also have been, and we are, as you know, recognized as one of the safest cities of our size
Yeah,
in
they
all
keep
of
saying
America.
that.
But unfortunately, there is a pattern of crime over the last 3 years that is consistently rising, and that is of property crimes. So we've seen a 10% increase in property crimes from 2021, 22, and from December of 2022 to February 2023, that number, there has been a staggering 162 reported shoplifting
Wow.
incidents here in the city of Yonkers, and that is something that is unseen, unheard of in our town. Many more incidents, as we all know, and as we're all becoming aware, are not being reported by local retailers. That complicates things.
So he says that there's been an increase here in Yonkers. 162 incidents like this have been reported here in Yonkers. 162. And the mayor says, we're not going to stand by and do nothing. We're not going to play woe is me. That's what he says, and I'll get to that in a minute. Or blame Albany. Interesting, because they continually blame Albany for the budget issues we have with the school. That's always Albany's fault. But we're not going to blame Albany here because he doesn't want to make Kathy Hochul look bad. And you will hear him tiptoe around that. He and Kathy Hochul have a really close relationship. And she, brought Mike into a meeting, a lot of mayors actually, into this meeting one night in the city to get their support, to assure that their machines that they had in place would push for Kathy Hochul. And so he has this little relationship with Kathy Hochul. And so you're not going to hear him speak badly about her, although he should, and he kind of wants to, but he tiptoes around it. So let's hear him.
And certainly something that we have to deal with. We have to take, because I know many of you will ask the question about bail reform, and many of you may even ask the question about some of the other areas, and we'll certainly answer all those questions. We here in Yonkers don't make the laws, but we here in Yonkers what we have to do is take the tools that we have at our disposal and use them in order to serve and protect the community. Our police department, namely, we're going to make sure that we protect and serve the residents of our city, that they feel safe in our community. But you know what? We want to serve and protect the retailers. A major part of our budget is our retail budget, major part of our budget. And if people don't feel safe enough to come into Yonkers to shop, then you know what? Then they'll stop coming. If they stop coming, then our revenues will go down. If people are allowed to walk into a store and take up to $1,000 worth of merchandise, you know what happens, guys? Those retailers, these stores become unprofitable. And we are talking every single day to retailers about coming into urban centers and being a part of our community. And when they pick up and leave, what are we going to say when they don't come into communities of color anymore? When they say, well, it's just not profitable to be there, so we're not going to come. Well, that is just not going to happen here in Yonkers. We have a police department, and I'm going to let you listen to Police Commissioner Sapienza, and he's going to outline for you what we are doing to curb this, because we're not going to sit back. We're not going to play woe is me. We're not going to blame somebody up north for what's happening. What we're going to do is do what we need to do to safeguard this community and to safeguard these retail businesses. That's how we're going to deal with this problem. And so with that, I'm going to ask that the police commissioner come up, kind of give us an outline of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then, of course, we'll be open for questions. Police Commissioner Sapienza.
Thank you. Uh, uh, anyway, I said what I was saying was that before I play Christopher Sapienz's part, I want to go over what the mayor said there. He said that we're not going to blame someone, as I mentioned, up north. We're not blaming somebody up north, right? Who's he referring to? Kathy Hochul. He doesn't want to blame her. Yet they blame Albany when it comes to the school budget. All the time. It's Albany's fault. They don't give us enough money in the foundation formula. They have to redo the formula. It's not working, right? They always blame Albany for that. He also says we don't want to let it get out of hand, which it seems to be getting out of hand because the stores will not want to come here. The big box stores will not want to come to Yonkers. We're talking to these stores and these, corporate offices and talking about how wonderful Yonkers is, and they're trying to invite these businesses here. But if they're having these thefts going on, he's afraid that they won't come in to the community of color. I didn't understand that comment. It kind of threw me off. I didn't get, why did he say specifically the communities of color? I don't know, maybe I didn't hear something right. But it's all communities that it's happening, and he's standing in a community that's primarily white. That's a primarily white section of Yonkers. That's Northeast Yonkers. That's where he lives. And he's talking about communities of color. And I don't know if he's trying to appeal to African Americans or, Black community with that comment, or he's trying to imply that it only happens in Black communities. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys could give me a hint as to what he was trying to say there. So anyway, he also mentions that, there's these crime programs, Crime Stop programs that he has asked the Yonkers police to go ahead and initiate, and so he's lucky that, it's not our laws. We don't make the laws. The city doesn't make these laws. And I believe he's referring to bail reform when he says that, right? We don't make the laws, but we could fight it with the tools that we have. And he goes back to the police department. He's referring to the police department. We have a great police department, the best police department. And so we're going to do everything we can to assure that we stop this from continuing, so that the stores do not want to leave or not come here at all, because it is a big source of revenue for the city of Yonkers. And so that's what he says he wants, what he's going to be doing. He doesn't want to blame Albany for the bail reform law, right? The one that has made it, easy for people to get out of jail, right? They go in and out. It's a revolving door. Many people have complained, both Democrats and Republicans, independents. People have complained about the bail reform, and they know it. Like I've said this before, yes, you may have people going in there because they're desperate for food, but you see a lot of people going in groups, these gang of thieves that are going into these stores and just grabbing luxury items, purses and, Gucci bags, Gucci belts and jewelry and stuff. And, they can't eat that, right? And so obviously they know that the laws are lax. The consequences will not be severe if they get caught. And so it's worth the risk. The rewards are high. The risks are low nowadays. And so whose fault is that, Mayor? And yes, we have the greatest police force, but we can help them out by pushing Albany to change some laws, right? You can do that, right? You're always talking about the schools. Let's see what Christopher Sapienza, the police commissioner, has to say.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. At the direction of the mayor, we've instituted a lot of measures to deal with this issue. First and foremost, we've instituted directed patrols for major box stores. So what is a directed patrol? A directed patrol means, aside from regular patrol duties, each precinct will give an assignment to the officers going out for that particular tour, and they'll say, all right, specifically, we want you to pay extra attention to these stores. We want you to pay extra attention to these parking lots. So that gets us to where we need to be, where the crime is occurring. Pattern Crimes Unit. The Pattern Crimes Unit is being deployed in plainclothes capacity and are posted in major retail parking lots to intercept offenders. So what does that look like? Now we have our Pattern Crimes cops, plainclothes, sitting in these parking lots, ready to go. When we get a call from a store, we get a call from Marshalls or any of these other retailers that someone is shoplifting, in real time, we have someone already in the parking lot. So that means no response time. It means we're there, we're watching who's going into the store, we're watching to see who leaves the store, and we're apprehending them immediately. And we've seen great results in doing this. We've made many arrests in the past few weeks by using this tactic. Crime control strategies. So we don't do anything by accident. This is precision policing. We're very deliberate in what we do. So we look for patterns. We look for patterns in the community. We look for patterns in spikes in crimes, and we address them. We talked about them. We have meetings about them, and we come up with solutions. So this is something that's actively being worked on. It's not something that we just go out there and drive around in police cars and look for crime. The neighborhood stabilization team is deployed for disruptive enforcement, park and walks in high visibility areas, and they're staggered so they don't overlap with the pattern crimes unit. So what does that mean? So the neighborhood stabilization team is a great tool. What they do, basically the neighborhood stabilization team is comprised of about 8 or 9 officers in uniform. And originally we started with this idea that these officers would be fresh out of the academy, and they'd be out there in the community for the community to see them and for them to interact with the community in such a way where they get comfortable and they know the businesses and they know the people. So this team, when deployed in this capacity, they'll just be out in a parking lot. They'll be out in this parking lot. Imagine 9 additional officers in addition to what we have out on a normal patrol. Imagine just 9 officers walking around, greeting the public, and just being out there. And that's a very big deterrent, and it's high visibility, which we want. The precinct commanders have been meeting with businesses and retailers and offer guidance for target hardening, crime prevention, awareness, and to ensure cooperation with reporting and prosecution. We partner with the businesses. You know, sometimes the trend is for a business not to report crimes, to say, hey, you know, we'll just give this to the insurance company. We'll just deal with the loss. And we don't want to do that. We want.
So he talks about precision policing. They're actively working on it. Now they created this program where they're going to have plainclothes cops sitting in parking lots, especially at locations that are having problems. So they're asking to box stores to reach out to them so they can partner up with the stores, you know, that are having issues. They'll have police officers waiting in parking lots in plain clothes, you know, so they can nab them. So if something happens, there's no response time. Hopefully, you know, the store that we'll be calling will be one of the stores that has this, you know, unit just in, you know, hanging out in the parking lot waiting to see any crime go down so they can be there to respond right away. So you hear that, criminals? Do not come to Yonkers, because this happens a lot, right? Especially during Christmas. We would hear this all the time across county, people getting robbed coming out of Macy's. People usually come from the Bronx or somewhere in the city, and they come here and they rob people coming out of Macy's at Cross County during Christmas time, and then they shoot onto the the Interstate 84, Deegan, whatever that thing is. I forget what it is. And they go down into the Bronx or wherever they came from. And so he's actually also said that police and the mayor have also said that a lot of these robberies that are happening here in the city of Yonkers are committed by people who are coming here from elsewhere. Well, we're becoming a transit-oriented town. That's what's going to happen. Just wait till you get MGM Grand and casino and all that. You're going to have people coming in from all over. And now you're going to have people probably robbing people as they come out of the casino, you know, or the concert venue or drunk and stuff. So, you know, this is going to be a lot of problems as you increase the population density here in the city of Yonkers, Mayor, and you bring in people from all over that don't, you know this community, that haven't been here all their lives. It's going to really change things up. It's going to make it feel like we don't know this community anymore. Bringing back foot posts, what a novel concept. Yeah, you know, a lot of people have been asking for these foot posts for quite some time. I know that they, put them in Getty Square, and they've been there for a while because of a lot of the craziness that was happening, especially after the kids would get dropped off from the schools there. You know, there would be, fights breaking out. But, you know, they have to be there also during the day because there's a lot of stores getting robbed by some of the people that are just hanging around there. In fact, one time that I was there and I saw business owners chasing a guy because he had stolen something, I recognized the guy because I had seen the guy before. around in the Getty Square area, right? So these are, individuals that are hanging around there, and then they're robbing the businesses, and and no one seems to care about those businesses, right? Because AMS is going to get them out anyway. So who cares? Who cares about them, right? So anyway, what else did Sapiens say? Yeah, they're just going to try to step it up. They were hoping to do this, use some of the new guys coming out of the academy for this. And let's see what's going to happen. Let's see if they'll make a dent in it. But again, I think that they're really highlighting this now because it's happening on a certain part of town. Also because it's election season and there's some tough competition, right, Mayor? I mean, you got a whole infrastructure. You got the city employees out there getting signatures and all that. It's very difficult to compete with. But people, people want change, Mayor. People want a new mayor. You know it. You and I know it. Right. And so you're going to try your bestest, and your advisors are making sure that you do what you got to do to try and look good. So let's go to some of the questions. Let's skip Sapienza here. And go to some of the questions.
The drop in crime in our city. That's why we've seen this to lead into more violent crimes is very real, and it's happening. It hasn't happened as much here, but it has happened. I know you've reported these things in the city, where people maybe take matters into their own hands, where people show a bit of frustration, and you can see things escalate. Or, like I said, that somebody who maybe was just going to commit a burglary, but they ended up committing murder because they were cornered.
So he talks about not taking actions into your own hands. He's advising people not to do that. He said he doesn't want to see a crime like theft turned into a murder because someone was cornered and they felt that, in order way to get out of that was to kill the person. And so he says he doesn't want to see that happening. Well, that's exactly what was happening in Getty Square because no one's there to help them. No one's there to investigate after the fact. Again, by the time police got there, and I'm not blaming police, I'm just saying, giving you the facts. By the time police got there, 2 guys were gone. And then on top of that, actually, the owners did catch up with the guy. But, then all his buddies came out of nowhere. And so the owners kind of just said, forget it. Like he did. The guy started calling people. Like he was making this noise, like this call. And they all started, all his friends started coming out of everywhere. Z-Man says 12 years is enough. Get a new mayor. Interesting. Yeah, get a new mayor. I agree with you there, Z-Man. 12 years is enough. We need a new mayor. We need a new leadership, not leaders that lead only during election season or attempt to lead.
Again, you have to look at, the question was, what are we doing to deal with some of these challenges that the stores are having in reporting and confronting suspects? And we try to urge the store, and what we try to tell people is this affects everyone. It affects the community. It affects the stores. Like the mayor mentioned, we don't want a store to have to close because they're not profitable. So what we try to do is offer solutions, work with us, tell us what's going on, report the crimes to us, let us deal with the crimes, and help us successfully prosecute the crimes. And in doing so, it works out for everybody. It's very easy to just give up on this. It's very easy to say, just let them take what they're going to take. But it has too much of an impact to do that. You can't let crimes like this get out of control. And we're trying to do something proactive now to put a stop to it.
If you don't mind me saying, because I think there's no way to sugarcoat this. We have had retailers basically turn a blind eye to some of the crimes that are happening. And we've asked them not to. We haven't asked them to go do their job. We just said, but when our officers are in a parking lot and they see someone walk out with 2 duffel bags, right, filled with product, which, by the way, happened, and they make a call to that particular store and they go, well, you know what, it didn't go over $1,000, so we're not going to prosecute. No. That's exactly what we don't want. And now we're starting to see a change in attitude because we have been talking with the retailers a lot and letting them know that, there are resources here. They're available.
On August 21st, 2022.
I was thinking maybe the police, were being a little passive aggressive because they don't have a contract in place. Well, the CLSA, union does not have a contract in place. I know also the uniform Uniform Firefighters Officer Association or something like that. They also don't have a contract in place. And, this is what the games that they play with the contracts, right? Especially around election season. He's waiting, so they can get the endorsement, right? He's not going to negotiate with them just up until the time, maybe around general election when they want, or even actually primaries when he wants their endorsement during the primary. So that's what he's waiting for. And he plays games with folks. He plays games with your contracts, all of you guys, the CSEA, which is the largest union here in the city of Yonkers, the Yonkers PBA, the CLSA, the DPW guys, Teamsters 456, they play with your contracts around election season. And then you got the union bosses that will play games with them also. And even though some of them will make it look like they're fighting for you guys, they're really fighting for themselves. They're playing in a game where, they're in cahoots with them. If any real negotiation is taking place or any hardball is being played, it's for something for them, for themselves, for personally, right? And that's how it works here. So just so you guys who don't already know, I'm sure everybody knows this, who are in unions, right, here in the city of Yonkers, that's how it goes. They play with you guys. They play with your retro checks. How did that go, CSEA? Did you guys get your retro checks? And speaking of Yonkers PBA union, let's move on. Anything else? Yeah, let me just actually play a couple of things. I want to talk to a couple of questions. I want to show a couple of questions here.
It's not profitable to be there, so we're not going to come. Well, that is just not going to happen.
That is just not going to happen. Ain't that the truth?
Telling us. Listen, I know from, just from having auto insurance and house insurance, you can't report this stuff too much to the insurance company before the insurance company raises your rates so much that it becomes not profitable to be here. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Mayor, I have a question. Yes. Most people in Yonkers see this not as a problem with law enforcement, but the problem with the system. These people are arrested and the very next day they are out on the street and probably coming back to the very same store. Is this the problem with the bail reform or it's something else? Is there a connection?
There's a lot that can be said about the bail reform laws. I know that I'll leave it like this because I don't control those laws. Albany does. The Governor Hochul has a very thoughtful proposal in the state legislature now that would provide for greater discretion to our judges. I'm being told on one hand that the judges have the discretion. I'm being told, but I'm also seeing that the governor has a proposal that would grant greater, thought and action from our court system. That is something worthy to look at because, again, when we have somebody who can rob a car, go out the next day, rob a car, go out the next day, rob a car, and do it many different times. It's just simply something that has to be addressed. And so, like I said, I'll leave it to the governor right now, who's negotiating with the legislature, and hopefully this is something to look at. But again, as a mayor and as a council and a police department, we don't control those laws, but we have resources at our disposal to serve and protect the people of this community at all levels, and we're employing them.
With the uptick,
Mayor gets mad at him.
Commissioner, you mentioned the 62 arrests. Are you seeing repeat offenders? What are you seeing?
We are. It's very difficult. Well, we can tell that who is a repeat offender. What we can't tell is basically to track whether or not they stayed in jail, whether or not what their disposition is on the various crimes that they've committed. I can tell you that we know it to be true. We know there's a lot of recidivism involved, and we've taken some numbers, for instance, our top 5 shoplifter offenders, and we found our top shoplifter was arrested 3 times within the past 3 weeks for 3 different felonies and is still out of jail. So
3
something
felonies.
like that is a problem.
I guess it's your coincidence competitor marshals?
No, listen, we want to support all of our stores. Certainly, Marshalls is not immune from these crimes. We're trying to help all our retail.
You know, and the other thing too, I mean, now you think about it, you go to different stores, and unfortunately, this is the way it is all across our country. You know, everything's under lock and key now. I mean, you know, it's what do you do with that? And so the experience is such that people may decide that when they walk into a place and it doesn't look friendly, it doesn't look safe, doesn't look secure, that they'll go home and go online.
Exactly.
So how's that help us? I don't see that helping us at all.
No, Mayor, Yonkers, shoplifting does not just affect this area. Gary Square, downtown Yonkers are hardly affected by it.
Absolutely.
What are we doing for those areas?
The same exact thing we're doing here. We just have, listen, we could have picked any number of retail establishments to stand in front of. We happened to pick Marshalls today, but we could have been standing in front of the dollar store on Main Street in Getty Square.
Why didn't you?
We've been standing anywhere in our city. What's happening has been universal, and it's been across the board, every section of the city. And again, what that does is it puts strain on our police department, right? So, you know, we don't get any extra aid for AIM-AID to help us with that, but we have to make our police officers more available to do the job that they're currently doing. It's hard enough to do what they have to do on a daily basis and to deal with this, and at the same time, be proactive. You know, one of the things that I'm very lucky as a mayor to have is a proactive police department. They are active and proactive in their approach to policing, and that has allowed our community to be safe. But it can't be like that for long if we don't stem this issue.
I guess the follow-up is, do we have enough resources within the police department to be having 4 or 5 police officers sitting here while there is crime going on in Yonkers?
We have a tremendous amount of law enforcement. That's what keeps our numbers down, and the taxpayers of our city have invested a lot in law enforcement in Yonkers, and we'll continue to send the resources where we need. Today is an important, almost public service announcement. People need to see this, and people need to know that their police department is working on their behalf, and that we're going to make the necessary changes. And at the same time, we employ people to don't ever take matters into their own hands. But you know what?
Don't take matters into your own hands. That's right. That's what the mayor says there. Did you hear what Ruro said? He said, you know, do we need more police? Do you think that's what it is? We need more officers. You know, and do you think that, you know, maybe, you know, it'd be a better idea to have the officers that are standing there with him out and patrolling instead of standing there with him? Ruro's, I don't know, something is up there. He's being a little tougher on the mayor, or he used to be more, you know, he is getting a run for his money this time around. That's right. That's why he's out there. And I want you to know, folks, that he hasn't knocked on doors. He had a whole team of people. Okay. He may have went to one home to get his photo op, but people like me and the other candidate, well, I don't know about Corazon, but me and I'm sure Reverend Margaret Coleman, we're out there, we're pounding the pavement. We're knocking on doors and we're meeting people, because for me, it's not just about getting a signature. It's an opportunity to meet you, and it's an opportunity to hear what your concerns are. And that's important. Everyone's important here in the city of Yonkers, but we haven't felt that way in a very long time, at least in the past 12 years. And it's time to feel very important, right? He clearly scared to take a position in the failed bail reform. We all know it's a failure. Obviously, he's dancing around it, right? He keeps saying, well, we don't make the laws, but Kathy Hochul has something in the works, you know, and she's, you know, I know she's giving judges discretion or more discretion. That's the same lie that they have been spinning since bail reform was introduced. Yes, judges have had their discretion. They always had discretion. However, the problem is that they're giving them a guideline and that they have to follow. So bail reform took away the discretion and implemented guidelines for certain crimes. If it's a certain crime, a misdemeanor, I don't know how that works, but you then do this or you then do that, right? Instead of allowing the judges like they had before to have their own discretion. So he keeps saying, oh, well, we're giving the judges more discretion. What do you mean? They had more discretion before bail reform. Now bail reform is giving them a guideline, right? So that's a lie there. And then Ruros also asked him, what about other areas? Why are you here on Central Avenue where, it's pretty nice there. I mean, you do have your robberies everywhere, but the square is happening all the time because he doesn't care about that. And I find it interesting that the mayor would say that we have to make sure that we're being proactive in policing and making sure that customers do not feel or are not scared or feel unsafe to go into these businesses. Otherwise, they're just going to go home and go online. And that's not good. Well, that's exactly what I've been saying in regards to the businesses in Getty Square, Mayor. You obviously think the same way as I do, right? But you're not doing anything about it when the businesses in Getty Square have guys passed out drunk or high on heroin and they're leaning in front of the door. I remember this clearly. There was one guy, this was maybe last summer, laid out directly in front of this cell phone store. You literally would have had to walk over his body, his upper body, in order to enter the store. So the owner came out, was trying to get him up, but the guy was passed out, inebriated, I don't know what. And then they're hanging out there in front of the businesses. And I'm not trying to knock you guys because then people want to take this thing personal, like, oh, why are you knocking us that we're who hanging out? No, you're messing up people's businesses though, man. That's not cool. Go somewhere else where there's nobody, there's no businesses. Right? It's not cool that you're hanging out in front of people's businesses that they're, invested their money in and trying to make a living. And yet you think it's okay to chill there, get drunk and high on K2 or heroin or whatever else, and then be passed out there. It scares people. And I know barbers that work there who have complained about that. They said people just don't want to come to the barbershop because the way that it is. So they need to definitely do something about it. Bail reform is insane. Yeah, it is. And it's not just a Republican, and not just Republicans that are criticizing. Democrats like myself and others are criticizing also. We want to be safe. And this is what I mean about party, right? We don't need parties. By the way, if you need to know or want to know, I was a Democrat from the beginning when I first registered. Then I changed to independent because I just didn't like this. I just figured independent was in the middle, although it's a party too. And then, I went back to Democrat because of, the way it works here in the city. And I want to be involved in the primary. So I became a Democrat again. But don't vote based on party. You have to vote based on the person. Right? Because we see this bail reform stuff and, that's a Democratic thing. And if you're a Democrat and you don't like bail reform, you're not for it, there you go, right? We have to vote on the individuals. And no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, we all want to be safe. We all want to live in a safe community. We all want to be able to feel comfortable going to a store, not being scared to walk by the guy that may be dead. And I remember this was the reason many years ago why we really made the move to purchase, our home out of Yonkers, or our first home, actually, anyway, because my wife one day was with my daughter, who was very, very young at the time. And she, pointed to a homeless guy who I think was asleep. And she said, look, mommy, there's a dead person. And my wife is just like, yeah, we got to get out of here because the guy's laid out on the sidewalk, right? So that's destroys the quality of life. And no one seems to care about it when it happens on the southwest side, downtown area, unless they start to develop it. Once the buildings are there, then they'll care. But even then, look at over by Water Grant Street over there. I walked there with my family last summer, and it just, for kids, it smelled like weed all over the place. Again, I'm not knocking people's personal things. That's not what the point is. But there are kids there, right? There are kids walking. It's a family area. And then you have people, drinking alcohol, and then they're leaving the liquor bottles and stuff, and they're not being picked up. Someone sent me a picture 2 days ago of that area, just looking a mess. So why would people want to go there and spend $3,000 a month? And I know that, it's not the people that live there, though I'm sure there are some of the people that live there. right? But eventually what's going to happen is they're probably going to privatize that area. So if you don't live there, you can't go there because of that issue. So, you know, what's going on with these quality of life issues that are not being addressed? He picked the nice area on Central Avenue. I know he picked, right? That dude would never stand in Getty Square. Yeah. Right. Like I was in Getty Square the other day and this guy was coming up to me. And he said, I know you. I was locked up with you. You were in jail with me. I said, no, I was not. Yes, you were. He's trying to convince me that I was in jail with him. I've never been to jail, homie. I've never been to prison, dude. I was like, no, you're wrong. Totally not me. What happened with the imagine some guy went up to the mayor. Hey, I know you were in prison. No, I'm the mayor. No, you were in prison. What happened with the investigation with CJ? How is it the police could not find footage of the van when there were cameras all over the place? This is unbelievable, right? He's talking about thefts in stores. He's having a press conference about it. Where's the press conference in regards to CJ Hackett and drunk driving, Mayor? We seem to have a problem with drunk driving, Mayor. Remember the guy that worked for you, Akeem Jamal? CJ Hackett, the 16-year-old boy who was killed by one of your employees driving drunk. There have been instances where police officers have driven drunk, crashed, and it's been swept under the rug. What's up with that, Mayor? Where are the press conferences on drunk driving? Where's the press conference for justice for CJ? Until, Mayor, you can fight for justice for CJ and see to it that proper justice is served and you speak on it, you mention it, people are not going to support you. They're not going to support you, Mayor. You know the people don't support you anymore, Mayor. You know that the only people that support you, Mayor, are the city employees that you got hired. That's it. The ones that are not qualified for the position that they hold, that would not be making $100,000 a year in the private sector. Those are the people that support you. The guys that are seasonal and want temporary full-time job, permanent full-time jobs, or want to get onto seasonal. Those are the people that are supporting you, Mayor. And to those people who support him because of that, those are selfish reasons. There are a lot of people being hurt with this administration. And by the way, to my cousin, man, stop commenting, please. Stop commenting. You're making yourself look bad. And I'm just being, a family member here, giving you advice, because I've gotten several text messages in the past week about, how much somebody said you need new knee pads. You should get new knee pads. Come on, dude. Why isn't the mayor requesting an investigation of Jeff CJ? He thinks retail stores are more important than a 16-year-old. Yeah, absolutely he does. It's obvious he does, because again, all they care about is the developing all of Yonkers. They're going to do a bunch of stuff on Central Avenue. The Tanglewood Shopping Center, a lot of that has been sold, right? These stores that are still there because of their leases, but they're trying to push them out. I was speaking to some of the businesses that are there. They want that shopping center, just like they want the what is that called? The Beasy Act or whatever. That nonprofit, that building over there on Alexander Street. You see what's going on? And Christopher Johnson, didn't you just give them $600,000, Chris? Christopher Johnson, managed to, I don't want to say funnel because that sounds like it's illegal, but managed to have $600,000 allocated to that nonprofit. $600,000, and now they're about to shut them down. That was a waste of money, Chris. You could have gave that to, the schools. I don't know, programs like the ones I'm trying to set up, which would have been amazing. And yet you gave it to this, I don't know what they do over there. Although I've been there, they do some things with the kids, but I'm not knocking it. And people, criticize me for this, but what we did there wasn't really meaningful. And I say why? Because there's nothing that they took away with them. They just had a day where they stepped into the water of the Hudson River. They don't understand fully what was being told to them, right? And there are many kids that, are just not going to be interested in that stuff because they have a lot going on. And there are other things that we need that are a priority to introduce into their lives. So if there's $600,000, Christopher Johnson, man, you should have called me first. So at least I could help you allocate that money appropriately. And so now they're going to close them down because the developers want that land. They're taking everything, Yonkers. Unless we stop this administration, they will take up everything on the southwest side, the downtown area. They're going to go over the southeast side, and then they're going to come up north to the northeast. They're already taking up the northwest side. They're going all up there. And so this is why we need change. This is corruption at its finest. Actually, the bail reform takes away this discretion from the courts. Yeah, right. It takes away discretion. It gives them a guideline to follow. So it basically tells them what consequences they should shell out. So when he says that, it's giving more restriction, more discretion, we're going to give, that's a bunch of BS. That's a lie. And I think they purposely want to see crime up. I think they purposely want to create chaos because what they're doing just does not make sense. How many uniformed officers are actually on duty? Probably only 5 or 6 cars per precinct. How many one-man cars? A lot of cops are probably not uniformed. Okay. And what do you mean by that? Like, explain that a little bit. How many cops? I wouldn't know how many are on duty, but I just trying to understand what you're trying to get at there. Does anyone know what's going on with term limit lawsuit? Any updates? To the folks that I met with that day, remember that meeting, guys, that we had? And I was annoyed. I was mad. I know you guys, saw that I was upset about it. And I wasn't mad at you guys. Again, I care for you guys. I really do. I care about you guys. But I knew what was going to happen. I saw this. I see these things, man. The world is not how, we wish it would be. And I don't know what Mike Sussman is up to. I don't know if he saw an opportunity to get some money here, but I didn't see where he was going to, win. I'm not an attorney, so I don't want to say I know, but I just didn't see, based on, what had happened, right? He was trying to tell us, well, they're going to benefit, but technically they're not benefiting because they have to get voted in, right? So if they're not voted in, they're not benefiting by that. So that's, that's a gray area. And now you have these corrupt judges that have been appointed, probably by the Spano administration. Zahi Jerris is involved in a lot of these judges' appointments, right? So would you, could we have trust that it was going to get, the result we wanted? To me, I wanted to do a big campaign of awareness, making noise, letting everybody know, reaching out to every news station, national news station, reaching out to other organizations outside of Yonkers. This is wrong. Our democracy has been hijacked. We need to be screaming from the highest hill here in the city. End corruption now. We need to be rallying around City Hall with signs that say end corruption now. End nepotism now. That is what we need to be doing. And until we take it to that extreme, right, and we all unite under one candidate, one strong candidate that will lead that charge, we're going to forever be dealing with this corruption until ultimately we're not in this city anymore. Which one is going to come first, right? So that's just what I'm saying. More uniformed police on the streets is a larger deterrent than sitting in unmarked cars. You're right. And, that reminds me of that incident over as, with the term limit extension when they all had the undercover cops or the plainclothes cops there. No one knew who was a cop. That is true. We should be more deterrent, proactive, not wait till something happens and then react, because it is in that type of situation where bad things happen, right? And then now officer may get injured or they may injure the individual, shoot him, and now they got to deal with, the consequences of that, the police officer. So rather than, wait till something happens before you react, be proactive and have uniforms. That's a good idea. And that way people will be less likely, right? If a group of dudes that are about to rob a Marshall's or a Burlington coal factory pull up on the scene and they see YPD there, uniform, nice and shiny, crisp, ready to kick some ass. If you come up in here trying with that funny stuff, they're not going to do that. That's a better idea, Travis. I agree. I definitely agree. Just like having uniformed cops at City Hall Council meeting. That's right. But that was the only meeting that they didn't have the uniform guys, right? And gals, so that was very interesting, I thought. But anyway, folks, the mayor is doing a lot of these press conferences. He's doing a lot of, he's doing the ribbon cuttings. He's doing all these things. It's election year, and they're concerned. And it should be. People want change. People want change. People want change. You need to sign Freddie Vasquez's signature petition. I'm going to be going out here in a little bit to hit the streets, try to get some more signatures. But I need you to work with me. Reach out to me. Info at Freddie for Mayor. 4, the number 4. Info at Freddie number 4 mayor.com. Info at Freddie for Mayor, the number 4.com. Let me know when you would be available. I'll come to you, and I'll speak with you. I would love to speak to you. We need change. Whether, you're an independent, Republican, Democrat, I'm not saying you can sign my petition. I'm just saying we all want change. I know it. You know how many Republicans have called me or texted me or messaged me asking to if they can sign my petition? I've had independents. Right? Very surprised. A lot of Republicans, because people want change. They're not worried about party. They're tired of party. Republican Party has been destroyed by this current administration. They're now destroying the Democratic Party. They basically did this whole game where they weakened the GOP, took over the Democrats, so they're never challenged. Every GOP challenger since Mike Spano's been mayor has been just a front. Just a front. I think maybe it was Murtaugh, the last guy that really challenged him, and that was when he first wanted to become mayor, I believe, or maybe I don't remember exactly, but Murtaugh, I think, was the last real challenger, right, a Republican. But everyone else has just been for show, so the mayor can win easily. So they got this voter block with the food distribution. They get their signatures. They get the votes. There's no challenge from the GOP because they're destroyed. Many of the top GOP officials are Spano loyalists, and they're going to do what is in the best interest of the Spanos before they do what's in the best interest of the Republicans. And that is what they purposely, intentionally did in order to maintain power here in the city of Yonkers. And how do they do that? Through nepotism, by giving jobs, promotions, right? Like some of the family members of some of these union presidents. Speaking of the police department and the police union, Yonkers PBA president Keith Olson has a sister. Her name is Kelly Olson. I don't know if they're still married. She was married or isn't no longer married to a former Yonkers detective lieutenant, Anthony Chiarella, and they had a son named Nick Chiarella. And Nick Chiarella, I like to call him the Yonkers foodie guy. He does this page on Instagram called Yonkers Foodies, where every Friday he goes to a different restaurant in Yonkers. They put it on the city page. This is his job. This is his city job. And he, does a little video, quick video of eating the food, showing it being made first, right? And so he's promoting these businesses, restaurants. So he goes by Yonkers Foodies. And recently, he was named as Mike Spano's strategist. This is what sources are telling me, and it's been confirmed, actually. Yeah, he was named. But what experience does this young guy have in campaign strategies? And I'm hearing that Mike Spano's campaign hired him at a pay rate of $110,000. Zero experience. Why would you hire him for $110,000? Does it make sense? Doesn't make sense to me. And Kelly Chiarella, or Olson, Kelly Olson, his mom is also the head of the Office of the Aging, a job she got back in 2013. Sources tell me after Keith Olson was able to secure the union contract for the police. So maybe they say that was part of the agreement. You got to give my sister a job at the Office of the Aging. This is just what sources are telling me. So this is the nepotism game that we see here in the city of Yonkers. So I want to put it out there because it's wrong, guys. It's wrong. It's causing problems here in the city of Yonkers. It's not okay. And we know, at least the people that are not blinded by, the Spanos, know what that job is about. And you got to be careful, Nick. And I'll tell you why. You can't, launder campaign money that way, right? So I mean, I believe, in my opinion, that that job was given to the person as a way to collect some of that campaign money that they raise. The Spano machine doesn't need a strategist. They already have a strategist. That's Zahi Jeris, Nick Spano, Vinny Spano. Why would they need to hire Nick? An inexperienced young guy. Why waste that money? It doesn't make sense. It's not like they're employing a new strategy. They're doing the same thing. We have the food distribution list. We're going to tackle that the first 48 hours once petition season starts. Then we're going to go get those ballots, and then we're going to ballot harvest. We're going to cheat, lie, and steal right through the elections into a win. That's the same strategy every time. So why would they then hire Nick Chiarella as their strategist, as Mayor Mike Spano's strategist? Who's collecting that $110,000? And Nick, you got to be careful, man. Don't let them put you in. Kelly, don't let your son be put in that type of position. You better make sure he keeps every dollar of that $110,000 now. So you ain't getting none of that. Nobody. That's staying in my son's bank account. That's his money. He earned it. And that is ways to get campaign finance money that they raise from these developers. So it's a way to pay people. It's a way developers pay these elected officials. Look at it, the Mike Cater lawsuit. Why is he suing Rose Press Inc.? And who owns Rose Press Inc., the printing company that does all the printing for these campaigns? The mayor's brother-in-law. But does he really own it? Or is it just under his name? And is that a way to funnel campaign money into their pockets? A large percentage of their expenditures, and I'm talking about elected official campaign expenditures, is spent on printing. And it's funny. People say to me, they were saying early on, Freddie, you know, you have to raise money because you have to do at least 3 to 5 mailers, and each mailer costs about $10,000. So that's $30,000 to $50,000 right there just in mailers to Rose Press Inc., owned by Spanos. You see the hustle here? Politics, the hustle that it is, the way they hustle politics, and I'm learning. So that's what it's about. And so, you know, be careful, Kelly. No, and I'm being honest. I mean, just really serious because, you know, I happen to know, you know, that I happen to know. So be careful with that. Make sure he keeps all that money, Kelly. Do not let him give $1 of that money to anybody else. That's his money now. He has to keep it. Otherwise, it's going to be looked at as, you know, fraud, money laundering. You know, can I get a Freddie for Mayor shirt? I'll get you one. I'll definitely get you one. That dude is horrible, that Foodies Friday scam. Why do you say that? So, you know, this is part of nepotism stuff. You know, Kelly got the position after the police contract was agreed to in 2013. And that contract made enormous concessions on 207C. So there was something huge with that contract in terms of stipulation in 207C. And if Anthony, the manager, if you're watching, if you can just let me know exactly what that means, that'd be great. Also, Tommy Phelan's wife was made a principal after they got their contract that same year. He was the president of CLSA. So this is all part of the nepotism system that I am speaking about that must be broken up, because that impacts all you regular officers if they're negotiating things for themselves into these deals when they should be negotiating 100% solely for the officers and not so they can get things for their family members. And that's a problem. So all the police officers and all the firefighters that live here in the city of Yonkers, reach out to me. I won't let no one know, be all secret, sign my petition. I'm going to win. I get on the ballot, I'm going to win. So sign my petition. Sign my petition. People want change. And I'm dead serious about this. People want change. It's about time that we get a new administration. Enough is enough. How much more of this corruption do I have to show you guys? And what about Corazon Pineda before I get up out of here? People are starting to see what I see. People are starting to see what I see. more and more people are starting to believe that Corazon Pineda Isaac is really in there to help the Spanos. She is really in there to help the Spanos, and she made a deal. She's going to probably get a job down the line. But first, I was told by a reliable source that she may become the city council president in 2025. Is it 2025? What year is it? When will Lakeisha be up? Yeah, 2025. Lakeisha got it in 2021. She won. Right. So she will run against Lakeisha. Lakeisha will lose, and Corazon will become city council president. Lakeisha will then take the vacancy left by judge-in-law, and that's when she will become a judge. This is according to reliable sources. It's not much different from what I've been saying, although I still think the way I said it is more likely to happen. But it all depends how Tasha Diaz behaves. It all depends on Tasha Diaz behaves. And what do I mean? I believe that Corazon made a deal for deputy mayor, and Tasha Diaz looks to become the city council president, and Lakeisha Collins Bellamy will become a judge. Yes, and the source that was talking with me said, I don't know if they can name Tasha Diaz as the city council president with a straight face. I mean, look at her behavior. Absolutely. And now I'm starting to see that. I think that why they let Tasha Diaz go off that night like that was really to hurt her and weaken Zahi a little bit and say, hey, we got your girl weakened up. She better shape up. Because, Zahi and the Spanos also compete, but it's a friendly competition, right? It's not like they personally dislike each other. It's about putting their cars in the race. They get smashed up. That's part of what it is. If you smash my car and destroy I'm out the race, that's what it is. I'll put in another car. And so they wanted to check her. But that's also why they fear Zahi. They know Zahi can get voters. He has that food distribution voter block, and that's dangerous right there for the Spanos because he can get probably more votes out against the Spanos. So Zahi, you should have played nice with me, and you could have been my campaign manager, right? And then I would have reformed you because you need to be reformed, Zahi. You need to be reformed. So that's their strategy. So I believe that Corazon made a deal for deputy mayor. I don't believe that she's going to go up against the Spanos. She has too much to lose. If she doesn't win, which if it's Corazon and the mayor, I think that she's not going to win. If she doesn't win, once she's up, they're not going to support her anymore. She has family members that have city jobs or they can lose those jobs. That's dangerous, right? It's one thing if you're a qualified individual and you got the job without the nepotism hookup, then that's more difficult to fire. And then you do such an amazing job that everyone, can't deny it and they speak about it. That's different. But when you're in there with the nepotism hookup and you're not qualified to begin with, you don't do a good job because you feel like I'm in here with the hookup. I ain't really got to work. You're going to go. And so I don't think she would risk that. I think that she would rather make a deal. And that is exactly what she did to waste the resources of the individuals that are supporting her and to get intel. That's right. Because I'm hearing that, I'm also hearing, I should say, that the Shatika Parker endorsement was a mistake and that the Spanos are upset about that. Well, that's God's plan. God's plan. That's what I'm hearing also. But that's what I believe, folks, in my heart of hearts. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm going to get up out of here again. I believe, look, John, it doesn't matter. John, I'm going to tell you this. I know you've been in politics longer than me, but I saw the Red Horse thing before you even saw it. In the very beginning, I told you that Red Horse was never on your side. And you said, nah, they were. Yeah, they were. Now you believe it. Now you know it. But in the beginning, I told you that. So here we are again, John. Here we are again. You cannot have your mind clouded by the desire to be Spano, right? That's when you make mistakes. You have to be, clear of any emotions and think rationally and logically. I know Corazon has the support of these, the machine or whatever infrastructure, Eileen O'Connor, who didn't return my call or my text. Thank you, Eileen. Why'd you give me your number in the first place? I don't know. But that's very rude. Okay. I wanted to talk to you, Eileen. I wanted to ask you what was the basis for indivisible support for Corazon. I wanted to speak to you about possibly that support behind me, because if you really want to have a real chance at winning and you really want to see a candidate that's going to be for the people, by the people, that would be me. But you didn't return my call or my text. So I don't understand what is, and people are saying, Corazon has done some things, but she could only do so much as a council person. Even as a council person, you can be out there. You could be in the community. You can be visible, not just, once in a blue when you throw this event, but on a regular basis, not filming it, just going out there and talking to people, seeing what's wrong, finding that fire hydrant that needed to be fixed before I did. Finding, or helping or getting things cleaned up in that, street on Elm Street that was just so nasty all through there before I found it and made sure that it got cleaned up, right? These are things you could be doing and in other parts of your district, but you're not out there. She's not out there. For her, it's about the title. What is her plan? What is she going to do? Exactly what? She hasn't mentioned anything really. We haven't heard much from her. And she's been there 12 years. And she let us down on the term limit extension situation because she should have voiced the concerns that many people were having before the legislation was introduced. Instead, they ignored us and act like no one was talking about it, like people weren't concerned about it. Yet, when it happened the third time, she said that she didn't like the fact that it was rushed and people weren't given enough time. Well, here we are again. It was rushed and people weren't given enough time. But the people were a little bit more aware this time and we're mentioning it, yet you ignored it because you wanted it to go through. Your game of voting no is a game. You know that your no vote wouldn't have mattered anyway. It still was going to get passed. And so this is a setup for the Spanos. 2 reasons. In case that lawsuit went through, right? They could, or whatever else, some other reason, she would, become mayor, but she would be controlled. She would be Spano controlled. That's in the rare event that would happen. But the primary goal is to waste those resources, waste that legitimate strategist that you speak of, John. That's what you don't see. She's keeping them distracted. She's giving them information about Chris Johnson's strategies and Shatika Parker. Why wouldn't they want Deanna Robinson? They have leverage over her. Her dad, his job. She's Shanae's aide. They're supporting Shanae. This is an attempt to take out Chris Johnson, waste resources, waste Indivisible's resources, because not too long ago, they were trying to take out Eileen O'Connor. I mean, I've been to these events. One of the things that I noticed at these events is that once more people start to clear out, you stay there long enough, most people will clear out. There'll be the same few individuals that'll hang back. The ones, they'll drink, they'll chill, they'll throw shots back. One of those individuals is Corazon Pineda Isaac, or was when I was, right? And I look at people, I analyze them based on their behavior and based on her relationship with Vinny Spano. From what I saw, there's no way that she would go against the Spanos. There's no way. No way. I mean, she was almost upset at him for coming so late to her event. Why did you get here late? It's like 8 o'clock. I'm on my mind thinking, why do you care? Why do you care if he showed up at all? And spent the rest of the evening all about Mr. Spano, right? So I don't think so. And the same thing when I went to the election night celebration over at the Castle Royale, taking shots together with Vinny. That was just too close of a relationship for her to go against him. That's just my opinion. So I believe that she is a part of their plan. This is a tough one for the mayor. He knows it. They're doing every single thing they can to assure that he does not lose. And Corazon is not going to take the risk of losing against the mayor, being out with the Spanos, not getting any more of that support, when she can make a deal for deputy mayor and then possibly be mayor after. Or at least that's what they'll tell her. So she can go for it. So in her mind, ultimately, I will be mayor. That's what that's what's going on here. 1000%. That's what's going on here. And I guess we'll have to see. Bail is to make sure the defendant comes back to court, not to make it so the person can't afford bail and stay in jail. Yeah, but see, here's the problem. And I hear what you're saying. But instead of punishing the judges and the prosecutors for, their mistakes, right? And we'll use that example of the gentleman that went to Rikers Island. They did his story. He ultimately committed suicide over a stolen backpack. We should have questioned the prosecutor and the judges who gave him that, or did that to him, or gave him that sentence or that outcome, right? Instead of creating a bail reform, which then negatively impacts everyday people, right? Because what the issue really was that we have corrupt judges and prosecutors that were just banging people over the head for small crimes. And then now they create this bail reform. And then now everybody, you know what I'm saying? So no, you should have looked at these judges and then made assessments. Why is it that you're, making these decisions? They're not the best decisions. This guy should have never been in Rikers Island over a stolen backpack. And how many other times did they make some decision like that impacted somebody negatively? And then they should be reprimanded or, and eventually disbarred, not create this law that, kind of makes it to where people now, are just going to commit crimes because the laws are a lot more lax because they don't want people getting, being remanded in jail. I got arrested once. It was some nonsense stuff, and it was dropped and all that. That's why I say I never been in jail. Although I was in the city jail before they closed it for 22 hours. But it was for trespassing. Like, why would they keep me in there for trespassing when it was actually a building that my father lived in, right? I was coming out of it. And they said I was trespassing. They took me to jail for that in the city jail. And then the detective goes, man, he had to wait there for whatever with me, he goes, I would have known it would have been this long, I would have never arrested you. I said, really? And so I went there. They dropped it. It was nonsense because I told them my dad lives there, whatever. But, for something like that, you don't keep somebody in jail. Especially when, not that long before that, a guy I knew got caught with some marijuana. This was years ago. So at that time, it was illegal. And they took him to jail and they let him out in 20 minutes. And I was like, they're keeping me. So, it's all about the people making the decision. They have to be checked. We have to make sure, whoever job it is, has to make sure that they're giving the proper, issuing the proper consequences or, whatever. So we need Freddie for Mayor bumper stickers to plaster the other political signs like we did in the 90s. Let's go. I need to know who you are. Why don't you reach out to me? I'll keep it a secret. Your secret is safe with me. I never trusted Red Horse strategy, but I wasn't in the position to say it publicly back then. I was hoping they would have come out swinging, but clearly they were compromised either way. But that was a bad decision. They were connected to the Spanos to begin with. That guys should have never got in bed with Red Horse. Never. And I got in bed, did business with them, right? And I don't think you need Red Horse. You don't need these strategy companies. That's just a waste of money. I mean, at this point, I know moving forward, as much as I'm learning, I'm not going to need a campaign strategist because it's not that much to really do. You have, your information, your data, right? And you just build an infrastructure so you can cover the doors, get the signatures, because all they did was that. That's basically what they did. They got that food distribution list, right? They go and use that to get a lot of the signatures. Then they're going to go get those ballots, those absentee ballots of those people, right? Then they have their core supporters, a lot of them which they give favors to. And so there's their friends and the families of those core supporters, right? So what strategy do they really need, right? And so we have to break that up. But what you do is you go out into the community and you speak to the voters and you connect with the people, because the only strategy should be that you're reaching people and they're hearing your message and you promise them things that you follow through on. And for that, they will continue to vote for you. That's how it should be. But now we need all these strategy companies because everybody's playing dirty. Everybody's doing all these sneaky things, doing all these robocalls, saying negative things about people and their families. They're sending out these negative, nasty mailers. They're doing text messages to family members and attacking them. That's disgusting. And that is why we have to get this out of our politics, right? And that's the issue. Eileen O'Connor sent a letter up to the state Board of Elections questioning the nasty and negative attacks that took place during the 2021 City Council president's race, wondering who did that. But it was people that that you're supporting even right now was a part of that. They all knew what was going down. Corazon Pineda signed the paper to get Mike Cater investigated on. So, I don't even know why you would be supporting her, John. I wouldn't be supporting her. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. Compromise, but clearly they were compromised either way. That wasn't my call. That was Mike Cater's call to stand by them. Little did he know they were suffocating him. That's my opinion. Yeah, no, definitely. Finish reading my comment. No. But I'm saying that. Listen, that's your bro. I know that's ultimately his decision, but I would have been like, nah, we're not using it. I would have been calling them out right there. No, Mike, nope, they're lying. No, this is what they're doing. And then we would have just had that fight. That would have been that fight, rather than being a situation now where you have this fight. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's just what I'm saying. Like, you just have to see things, man. I don't know how to say it, but learn to play chess really well. And then you'll understand how you maneuver through life. That's all I can say. I compare it to chess, and that's exactly why I see some of these things that are happening. There's not many moves that they can make, so it's not that difficult, right? To figure out all the possible moves, right? And then you figure out what their move is going to be based on what's currently happening, what their goal is, what's their motive, what's their agenda, what moves them. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's pretty much what it is. And Corazon is all about Mayor, I'm Cori P, not like Cardi B. They call her Cori B, Corazon, Cori P. So you want to be named like a rapper, right? That used to be a stripper. Okay, all right, Cori P. So Cori P, right? She's all about the title. Look at me, I'm a title. I'm not really here to do the work. I'm not here. I don't have the real substance, right? I'm here just to have a title. And look at me, right? And then party, right? So for her, if she'll make a deal to be deputy mayor in the hopes of being mayor later, she's going to take that all the way, 1,000%. People say, Freddie, you're crazy. Why are you going, against the mayor? Why? Because I truly want to make a change. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be here. I don't need to be here. Right? If I didn't care, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't care, I wouldn't make the sacrifices that I've made. I wouldn't. I wouldn't care. I'd just go about my business and do my businesses. That's it. And live my life like I've been doing, but I care. I've seen it. I've been awakened, and I cannot go back to sleep. And I refuse to go back to sleep. And it's time for a change. And I am that change. And it's sad that, just because I may not, go all the way to the finish line first, be the first winner, be the mayor, doesn't mean that people didn't want Freddie Vasquez or that they wanted the individual that won. It just means that there's corruption and election fraud taking place. And when I spoke to many people who signed and they said they didn't know who they signed for, that let me know that people are just being taken advantage of. And that's the issue. That's why we'll never have a fair election here in the city of Yonkers until we break up that food distribution voter block. By the way, Feeding Westchester, I'm calling you out. Ridgeway Alliance Church, I'm calling you guys out. Get the politicians out of your food drives. Otherwise, I'm going to call you guys out. You are a part of the problem if you do not get the politicians out of your food drives. You don't need them there. And if you need someone to coordinate it, then contact me. I've been reaching out to you, Feeding Westchester. We can coordinate it. Or we can there's plenty of people out here that would love to coordinate it. Great people. You don't need to have the politicians because they're politicizing it. Ridgeway Alliance Church, I'm calling you out. And Jeffrey Meyer, I'm calling you out. You guys are impacting elections here in Yonkers negatively. And I know the congregation, you guys are and gals just trying to do a nice thing. I get it. But unfortunately, this guy, Jeffrey, Zahi Jerris, Tasha Diaz. They're utilizing your charity work, your gracious donations in order to impact elections here in the city of Yonkers. And I'm calling you guys out. That's not a good look for you guys over at Ridgeway Alliance Church. And I'm going to tag you guys in this, and I'm going to continue to tag you guys in this. Feeding Westchester, same deal with you guys. And I'm going to tag you guys in this as well. Enough is enough. That's not cool. They're using those food distributions to gather information on people. They're even registering them to vote. And they don't even really know what the heck is going on. They don't even care. They just want the food. And so while they wait there in line, and somebody told me, Freddie, this is why they don't want you recording over there. That's why you get upset, right? They're having these little iPads registering real quick. They don't even know. If a woman says she doesn't vote anyway, she already signed the paper, but she doesn't vote anyway, then why does she register to vote? You have people that didn't speak English well, right? Didn't know what's going on. Didn't know who was running. I asked you know who's running? No. So you don't know who's going to vote? No, I just signed the paper. They just came to my door already, and I just signed them. That means that they didn't register themselves to vote. That was done at one of these food distributions that is being sponsored by Feeding Westchester and Ridgeway Alliance Church. Calling you guys out. Calling you guys out. And I'm going to be sending you guys emails. Jeffrey Myers, I'm going to send you folks emails. You're not going to be impacting elections out here negatively. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez, trying to stop election fraud. It's a lot of corruption here. Anyway, folks, I'm getting a lot of messages. I got to get up out of here. So there we go. I'll be out tomorrow. I'm going to actually go out here in a little bit again, maybe for, I don't know. But anyway, hit me up, email me, and I'll see some of you folks tomorrow. I know some of you guys, some of you ladies, gentlemen and lady are coming tomorrow to sign the petition. I will see you then. I look forward to it. Thank you very much for the support. I'm about it. info@FreddieForMayor.com. That's Freddie with the number 4 Mayor.com. Let me know what day and time is best to come see you. Make it easy for you. Also, you can stop by my office at 105 Lockwood Avenue and sign the petition there. I have someone there with the petition, and then I'll be going around. So let's make sure we get me on the ballot because I represent change. I represent the people. It's time, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm up out of here. Thank you. Am I losing my voice or I'm out? Have a good night, folks. Have a blessed night. I'll see you mañana. It's Friday, TGIF. Shout out to all the Yonkers police officers. Be safe out there tonight, Yonkers firemen. Be safe out there tonight. You know, and you fire marshals out there, make sure you guys investigate those fires well. Make sure no one's out here lighting these buildings on purpose, creating a danger for our men and women, our firefighters.
Freddie wins.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Any housing advocates out there, can you please look check on that marked realty thing and what's going on? There are people getting their are being just played for their application fees. Are they just utilizing the need, so many people in need of housing, that they are sending them from one apartment to another, telling them to apply just to take their application fees. Any housing advocates out there, please, I would love for you to check that out. They say municipal housing in the city of Yonkers is the worst. This is what people are telling me as I'm out there walking the streets. So if any housing advocates out there, can you please look into that? Municipal housing in the city of Yonkers. Also, is it true that they have to go through a broker and they have to pay for the broker fee out of their own pocket along with the application fees? People are spending $3,000 and $4,000 to try and get into an apartment with their vouchers when they already are money insecure, right? Just like food insecurities, you have money insecurities. And so why are they being charged these fees? Why? I mean, I remember there were times when, when I was renting an apartment, I would get you could waive, right? Can't you waive the application fee? Thought you could do that. I sworn I had that done. So, I mean, they should at least get their application fees waived. So, you know, any housing advocates, look into that. Municipal Housing Authority of the City of Yonkers, headed by Wilson Kimball, who is also the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. She is the boss of our City Council President, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, who I hear is very upset. And you should be, but you should be more upset at yourself, Bellamy. I told you about this early on. I warned you, but you said you know what you're doing. You got it. You didn't realize it was going to be this bad, huh? Are you going to be able to sit in that robe with a clear mind, not feeling guilty? Did you guys see her at the meeting? She was very adamant about making sure that AMS provided some benefit to the community, maybe another community center. Is that guilt kicking in? Is that guilt? I told you they were going to use you, and that is why that comment was made. And I didn't say that you are that. I said that that's what they look at you as, and you know it. You know it, and it's sad. But you know what? You didn't know it all the way. I will give you that. But I try to warn you. I know how snakes operate. I'm a mongoose.
Let's get it popping.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality. Freddie wins. Fatality. Freddie wins. Fatality.
No!
I warned you, Esquire. I told you they were going to play you. Too little, too late. They used her and she allowed it. She may have passed the bar, but she isn't too smart. But she's an Esquire.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
I warned you, man. I told you this. Folks, there's only one choice for new mayor. That's Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.
It's time the people have someone representing them that's as tough, as witty, and as capable, or I don't know if they're that capable, but is more capable than those holding power now. And I will be for the people. Make sure you sign my petition, and then make sure you vote for me.
Freddie wins.
There's gonna be a lot of surprises, folks. I promise you that. You're gonna have to wait until November to see the ultimate result.
Freddie wins.
I'm excited about it.
Fatality.
I know I scared them.
No!